Well, here we are again to read the most wonderful book of French history, of maybe of the history of the world. Wonderful book, Les Misérables de Victor Hugo. Do you know that this is the last time we are reading in 2025? So keep reading, guys. Otherwise, we don't see each other otherwise we don't see each other anymore. We have to stop the books. I hope you keep reading. So we're going to read 2 pages today. I think it's like, yes, 95 and 96. Last time we were still 23 reading, if that's correct. So we were in the courtroom where Jean Valjean is sentenced, I think, or we will see if he will be sentenced. But it seems to be the wrong man. This man is called Champmathieu, but they think he's Jean Valjean. And the real Jean Valjean, who is Mr. Madeleine, is going there also. So he's in court. And I think he's looking at Jean Valjean. So Mr. Madeleine is looking at the guy they call Jean Valjean. And I think he says, I'm seeing myself hiding in my soul those terrible ideas. And those terrible ideas, the word terrible is affreuse. So terrible ideas qu'il avait mis 19 ans à ramasser sur le pavé du bagne. So those bad, horrible, evil ideas that he had, il avait mis, that's a bit hard to, maybe we could say, it had taken him 19 years to pick them up from the pavement of the prison, because he had been in prison before. He has been there during 19 years. And all those negative ideas he still felt in his soul. Good. So then, il se dit avec un frémissement, so he said to himself with a shivering, Mon Dieu, est-ce que je redeviendrai ainsi? So, my God, will I, and you see this is the future, redevenir, future of redevenir, will I become again ainsi, like that? So if he goes back to prison, if they discover he is Jean Valjean, the real one, does he go back to prison and does he look like that? That's the question he's asking himself. Cet être paraissait au moins 60 ans. So this being, this human being, seemed or looked at least 60 years old. Il avait je ne sais quoi de rude, de stupide et d'effarouché. So he, this man, had, I don't know what it was that was rude. Rude is tough. Stupid, well, or maybe tough or harsh, of stupid and unafraid. So this man, he looked unafraid, looked harsh and stupid. Au bruit de la porte, on s'était rangé pour lui faire place. So at the sound, at the noise of the door, so when they opened the door, I think to let him in, this man, they had rangé means like to arrange yourself, to put yourself in that way, to faire place, to make room for him, to let the guy in. Le président avait tourné la tête. The president had turned his head. Et comprenant que le personnage qui venait d'entrer était monsieur le maire de Montreuil-sur-Mer, il l'avait salué. Ah, now I understand. So, they heard the noise of the door, and people had like put themselves aside, rangé, to make room for him. But it's not the one who, the person who's convicted. It's to make room for Mr. Mayor, the mayor of Montreuil-sur-Mer. So, Mr. Madeleine. And so even the president, he turned his head and let me see, and understanding that this person who we know the expression venir de, had just, who had just entered, was was the mayor of Montreuil-sur-Mer, and he, the president, had greeted him, salué, salute, greeting, he had greeted him. L'avocat général, qui avait vu M. Madeleine à Montreuil-sur-Mer, où des opérations de son ministère l'avaient plus d'une fois appelé, le reconnut et salua également. So, well, this is the general advocate, but I think we would say the prosecutor, who had seen Mr. Madeleine in Montreuil-sur-Mer, where certain operations or certain activities of his ministry had called him more than once. So this man also recognized him and greeted him equally, like also. He greeted him also. So the president of court greets him and also the prosecutor. Lui s'en aperçut à peine. So he, Mr. Madeleine, aperçu comes from the verb apercevoir, like to notice. He noticed it à peine, merely, or hardly. So this is Mr. Madeleine, il était en proie à une sorte d'hallucination. Il regardait. So Mr. Madeleine had, or no, not had, was prey to. So he was prey to, he was like victim of a kind of hallucination. He looked, he watched. Des juges, so judges, un greffier, a court clerk, des gendarmes, policemen, une foule de têtes cruellement curieuses, so a crowd of cruelly curious heads, têtes, heads. Il avait déjà vu cela une fois. He had already seen that once. Autrefois, at that time, il y avait 27 ans. And you know, il y a means sometimes there is, there are, but also ago. So 27 years ago, when he was himself in court. Ces choses funestes, il les retrouvait. So those funeste, evil things, he found them back again. Elles étaient là. They were there. Elles remuaient. They were moving. So he's feeling those evil vibes moving. Elles existaient. They existed. And why is it feminine? Because things, choses, is feminine plural. So they were there. They existed, those evil things. Ce n'était plus un effort de sa mémoire. It was not anymore an effort of his memory. Oops, I'm sorry, it's gone. Where is it gone? Where is it gone? Find it. Oh, here it is. So it was not anymore an effort of his memory, un mirage de sa pensée. You could say mirage, but I would say an illusion of his thinking. C'était de vrais gendarmes et de vrais juges. So this was, or they were, real policemen and real judges. Une vraie foule, a real crowd, et de vrais hommes en chair et en os. And real men, en chair et en os. In English, you would say in flesh and blood, but in French, you say in flesh and bone. But means like real people. C'en était fait, il voyait reparaître et revivre autour de lui avec tout ce que la réalité a de formidable, les aspects monstrueux de son passé. So, c'en était fait, it's a bit, it's not really easy to translate. I would say that would have done, or it would have been, he saw reappear and relive around him with all the reality of the formidable, the formidable, all the monstrous aspects of his past. So he looks around, sees this reality, people, judges, policemen, all that in reality, and everything has the horrible aspects of his past. So he's living back in his past. It's gone again. I'm sorry. What am I doing today? Let me see. Where am I? Okay, here it is. Tout cela était béant devant lui. All that was béant, gaping, like wide open in front of him. He sees all that in front of him. Il en eut horreur. He had the horror of it. He horrified it. Il ferma les yeux. He closed his eyes. Il s'écria au plus profond de son âme, jamais. So he screamed out in the most profound of his soul, never. He never ever wants to live this again. Et par un jeu tragique de la destinée qui faisait trembler toutes ses idées et le rendait presque fou, c'était un autre lui-même qui était là. And by a tragical game of destiny, which made tremble all his ideas and made him almost crazy, it was an other himself who was there. You see, maybe you've had this feeling. It's as if he's not there himself. It's as if you are like two people and one is standing there. Cet homme qu'on jugeait, tous l'appelaient Jean Valjean. So this man whom they were judging, all called him Jean Valjean. So everybody called him Jean Valjean. The person who was in fact called Jean Mathieu. Okay, and then here in italics we have some kind of description. Parmi les jurés, Jean Valjean reconnaît Bamatabois, l'agresseur de Fantine. So amongst the jury, Jean Valjean recognized this man, Bamatabois. Maybe you remember, he was the aggressor of Fantine. Les preuves contre Champmathieu sont accablantes. So the proofs against Champmathieu are accablantes, it's like overpowering, are maybe in this situation we would say incriminating. L'accusé est incapable de se défendre correctement. So the accused person, Champmathieu, is incapable to defend himself correctly. Malgré ces dénégations, tous les témoins ont reconnu en lui l'ancien forçat. So despite his denials, in French it's plural, maybe in English rather singular, his denial, all the witnesses have recognized in him the old galley slave. Et sa condamnation ne semble plus faire de doute. And his, maybe not condemnation, but his conviction seemed not anymore make any doubts. So nobody had any doubts on his conviction. Good. Let's go to the next page. Yes. Okay, so this is page 96. Good. So, il était évident que l'homme était perdu. So it was evident that the man was lost. Huissier, dit le président, faites faire silence. Huissier is like bailiffs. Bailiffs, said the president. Have silence made. So make everybody be silent. Je vais clore les débats. I'm going to conclude or to end the debates. So he's ready to finish the whole thing. En ce moment, un mouvement se fit tout à côté du président. So at that moment, a movement was made exactly next to the president. On entendit une voix qui criait. So they heard a voice who screamed, Brevet, chenille-dieu, coche-paille, regardez de ce côté-ci. So we have three names of three people, I think three men. Brevet, chenille-dieu, and coche-paille, look to that side, or to this side. Look here. Tous ceux qui entendirent cette voix se sentirent glacés. So all those who heard this voice, they felt glacés, frozen. Tant elle était lamentable et terrible. So much she was, and she, it's the voice, because voice in French is feminine, so voix. So it was lamentable means like pitiful and terrible. Les yeux se tournèrent vers le point d'où elle venait. So the eyes turned towards the point from where she, the voice, came. So it came. In English, you will say it, but in French, she, because everything is he or she. So everybody looked to that side from where the voice was coming. Un homme placé parmi les spectateurs privilégiés, qui était assis derrière la cour, venait de se lever. So a man placed among the audience or the spectators, the privileged spectators, who were sitting behind the court, had just se levé, stood up. Yes, we know this expression now. Venir de means had just stood up. Avait poussé la porte à hauteur d'appui qui séparait le tribunal du prétoire. So a man had pushed the door at the height of appui, of contact, yeah, like at a certain height, had pushed the door, which separated the court from prétoire. It's also some kind of a court, but I think maybe the court from the courtroom. This door separated the court, like the president and the judges, from the courtroom. Et était debout au milieu de la salle, and was debout, standing up in the middle of the room. Le président, l'avocat général, M. Bamatabois, 20 personnes le reconnurent et s'écrièrent à la fois. So the president, the prosecutor, and Mr. Bamatabois, 20 people recognized him and screamed out at the same time, Monsieur Madeleine, Mr. Madeleine. So there comes Mr. Madeleine, and they all screamed, Mr. Madeleine. C'était lui, en effet. It was him indeed. La lampe du greffier éclairait son visage. So the lamp of the clerk lit his face. Il tenait son chapeau à la main. He held his head in his hand. Il n'y avait aucun désordre dans ses vêtements. There wasn't any désordre, messiness in his clothes. Sa redingote était boutonnée avec soin. So his overcoat was buttoned up with care. Il était très pâle et il tremblait légèrement. He was very pale and he shivered slightly. Ses cheveux, gris encore au moment de son arrivée à Arras, étaient maintenant tout à fait blancs. So his hair, still gray at the moment of his arrival in Arras, were now totally white. So his hair had totally turned white, gray when he arrived in the city and now white. Ils avaient blanchi depuis 1 heure qu'il était là. They had whitened since 1 hour that he was there. Toutes les têtes se dressèrent. All the heads rose. Se dresser means like to stand up, but here it's not stand up. So all the heads rose. La sensation fut indescriptible. So the sensation was indescribable. Il y eut dans l'auditoire un instant d'hésitation. So there was in the, what shall we say, in the audience maybe, a moment of hesitation. La voix avait été si poignante. The voice had been so, you could say poignant, but maybe heartfelt. L'homme qui était là paraissait si calme. The man who was there seemed so calm qu'au premier abord, on ne comprit pas. That at first, au premier abord, at first, they did not understand. On se demanda qui avait crié. So they asked themselves, they wondered, who had screamed? On ne pouvait croire que ce fût cet homme tranquille qui eût jeté ce cri effrayant. So they could not believe that it was this man, this calm man, who had thrown out, this frightening scream. Cette indécision ne dura que quelques secondes. So this indecision lasted only a few seconds. Avant même que le président et l'avocat général eussent pu dire un mot, so before even that the president and the prosecutor had been able to say a word, avant que les gendarmes et les huissiers eussent pu faire un geste, even before the policeman and the bailiffs had been able to make a movement, a gesture, l'homme que tous appelaient, the man that they all called, and I'm going to take the book because I just want to finish this sentence because, my God, we cannot just read half of the sentence. So, l'homme que tous appelaient encore en ce moment Monsieur Madeleine s'était avancé vers les témoins Cochepaille, Brevet et Chenildieu. So the man who all of them called still at this moment Mr. Madeleine, he had advanced himself, so he had come forward towards the witnesses Cochepaille, Brevet and Chenildieu. So Mr. Madeleine is coming forward. Oh my God, what a stress. But you guys will have to wait until 2026 to know the rest, and I hope you will be there. I hope we will keep reading this book. We're already at, well, almost 100 pages, so keep on going, guys. Hope to see you back in 2026. Thank you for today. See you soon. Bye.